Now, like I said before, first thing to do if you want to make marriage great is know what marriage actually is. Like I said before, it seems a silly question. Everyone should know what a marriage is, shouldn't they? And I guess if you were to ask anyone, they would say, that's a ridiculous question. Of course I know what marriage is. Yeah, what is it? It's you know that thing you do when you have a wedding and then you say I do and then you sign documents and then you live afterwards? Well, yeah. And well, then you're husband and wife and yes, what do you do? This is the thing. People know what the legal definition of marriage is, but they don't really know what it is in practice. Like, come on, people say it's someone you choose to love, that you love, you choose to live with for the rest of your life. Okay, so is it just a matter of just two people that happen to live together and they both do their own thing, have their own lives? Oh, and that's when people get stumped. It is very simple. Okay, but you need to know what marriage is first before you know how to act in it and know what you're supposed to do in a marriage. Yeah? A marriage simply is a partnership in life. That is what it fundamentally is. And, I would have thought people would understand that when I said that, but you'd be surprised. I even had someone blow back, challenge me, no, marriage is not a partnership. Because a partnership means equal rights and responsibilities, and there is nothing that explicit, when you sign the marriage certificate that says you have equal rights and responsibilities. So therefore, it's not a partnership. Come on. It's a partnership in the sense that you're holding your hands together, sharing a life and going through life together. What the other person does is going to affect you. Okay, what you do and how well you do will affect them. In essence, you're in the same boat together. And so you've got to help each other. Well, you both have to put effort in to make sure to enable the ship to sail, to go, or the boat to go where you want it to and as quickly and efficiently as you want it to. So you're combined. You are sharing a life. Yeah, and you have to be making the best life that you can for each other. It's no longer the me and the you. It's now the we. Two becomes one. And it's only if you know and you respect and you act accordingly that this is a partnership that it would work. And that's the only reason it will go the distance and the only reason why you will get benefits out of marriages. I know a lot of people, especially after they've been through a messy divorce and complain there was nothing in it for me. I did not get anything out of it, and so to speak, because my partner was selfish and this and that. And so I think, so hang on. So you were not acting as a team then, or your partner wasn't acting as a team, as the other partner in the team. And so because of that, it really wasn't a marriage, was it? And if it wasn't a marriage, then you cannot rubbish marriage as it is because it wasn't one to begin with. And a lot of people don't actually realize how much of a benefit marriages are. And look, I know a lot of people, especially being through and being burnt through bad divorces, saying, I'll never do it again. I got nothing out of it. It's given me nothing but grief and cost me not only financially from the divorce, but emotionally and cost me all this time and so forth. I'm better off on my own. And yes, that's correct. You are better off on your own if it is not a marriage. Okay, but however, if you actually do have a true marriage, it is great. And you get so much more benefits and advantages out of a marriage than being on your own. And so this is what I'm going to go through. Why are marriages great? It is as old as civilization itself. It's a cornerstone of society structures and so forth and so forth. And we all know about history of marriage and so forth. I guess the first thing is that it provides emotional and psychological support. I mean, at its core, it provides a deep sense of companionship. That there's someone for you, there to share your highs and lows with you of life, and able to help each other. I mean, if you've got an issue at work, for instance, you're not happy with your manager, can you talk to your colleague about that? And so you will not dare, because you don't know whether or not your colleague is is going to tattletale on you. Either you tell that manager that what he said about you, or either help you or so forth. And sometimes you just need to let out steam. I suppose you can go and speak to a friend and so forth, and they might listen and provide some emotional support right there and then. But end of the day, it's not their problem, because they're not sharing a life with you. They don't have a vested interest. I'm sure they'll want you to do well and so forth. That's all nice and good. It's not the same. Come on. After that, the discussion, they'll put you out of their thought, or your issue out of the thoughts, because they've got their own issues and their own problems to worry about and their own lives they've got to deal with and live. How about family? How about your siblings or your parents? Not everyone gets along with their siblings. And even if you do, your siblings and your parents go under the same thing. They, of course, if you're close to them, of course, they'll want the best for you. And they said, come to me if you need anything, so forth. But again, they're not sharing the same life with you. So they don't have the vested interest. And also, because they're not with you day to day, they don't really know exactly what's going on, because they're not sharing the life with you to be able to fully appreciate the situation that you're in. And I guess a lot of people also don't want to share, feel either embarrassed or so forth, that type of thing, or want to put out a front. Or if they happen to be competing with their siblings and say, I don't want their siblings to know they're going through a rough patch, or they don't want to worry their parents. However, your partner, who is sharing your life with you in the same boat, they're going to have a vested interest as to how well you do. So, if they are acting as a true life partner, they would be concerned if you are having problems with work or your manager. Because remember, your career, your promotion of that, it ties to your income. And your income, how much money, which represents resources, is going to directly affect your partner's life as well. How big a house can you have? Or how many cars, or how many holidays can you be able to go on to? Or how good a food can you eat? How many times you can go out to restaurants? That directly affects your partner. So, yeah, your partner does have a vested interest. And if they are not acting that way, they should know. They need to know. And so that is the person that you should be able to talk to. And of course, health-wise as well. I mean, emotional and mental health also affects physical health. And if you are unwell, what happens? Then your partner either has to step up, because there's not going to be as much money around you. Obviously, you can't work. It's going to affect your income. But then they're going to have to look after you. Now, the next advantage is stability and security. Marriage often brings a sense of stability and security, both financially, as I mentioned, and also emotionally, because you've got shared resources and decision making and you feel stable. And also, that you've got a partner there. If there's an issue, who's the person that you should turn to? It's your partner. And people do naturally do, or you should be able to turn to your partner in the first instance. And your partner should be there to support you. And if you had that support, that's amazing, rather than having to deal with on your own. It's difficult. And as I said before, you can only ever be one place at a time. You have one set of skills and you have your own way of looking at things. So if you have a partner, they have, hopefully, their own set of skills, and they'll have obviously a different viewpoint as well. And they might be able to see something that you've missed. And so quite often, if before you make a decision, people like to have a second opinion. And so the first person you should be able to go to is obviously your partner, especially if these issues or what you're trying to resolve are rather personal, or, it's like your personal financial situation. You're not going to go out and ask other people, your friends or so forth, or things like that. It's your partner. And so that creates, there's assurance and kind of like a security of being in a relationship, being in a marriage, which is more than a relationship, is the stability, because you've basically made a social commitment to each other and declared in front of everyone, your friends, family, and society, by making it legal that you've made the commitment. Okay. So, and I guess, a lot of people that fear being alone, and when they can see this relationship going to end, they make sure they have another relationship ready to jump to. And I guess it's that sense of wanting that security. Okay? Now, the next point, health benefits. Like I was saying, the health benefits with marriage are well documented, especially for men. As they said, men tend to live longer when they are married. I know there's going to be a lot of men that are going to dispute and argue with this point, especially if they had ended up with a rather selfish wife and subsequently divorced and said she never looked after me or did anything. I had to do everything and look after her. However, generally, women are more caring and nurturing and so forth. And so I guess because more meals at the very base, you'll be eating more home-cooked meals. Because look, people get lazy just cooking for themselves. So you get single people, or often they're not, they don't cook and they eat out, takeaway and so forth, because it does take time, not only cooking, it's the cleaning up. And if you're doing it for one person, you think, is it worth it? Kind of thing, and make a whole roast. I roasted a whole chicken and eating it for myself, one person eating. But if it's two people, then it's worthwhile. And so people would tend to cook more. And I guess also in marriage, you tend to take less risks because, okay, responsibility with your partner. What do your partner say if you end up being injured? You can't go to work, it will affect your partner, and your partner will have to look after you. Yeah, and also spouses tend to encourage their partner to seek medical attention if there's something wrong. In this case, particularly men, they tend not to go to the doctor or take things seriously when things start playing up and so forth. But with a partner that's noticed that, saying, no, you need to see a doctor, get that checked. You've been limping for a while now, or go to the chiropractor, or so to speak. So in that respect, yes. And the ultimate is if you've fallen ill. Okay. If you've fallen ill, who's going to look after you? I know that people say, I don't need anyone. I can look after myself. But hang on. Look, If you're so ill, you can't really get up. You're not going to eat. You're not going to go and feed yourself. Yeah, even sometimes if you need even help going to the toilet, if it's gotten that bad. And I guess people that have had strokes, heart attacks, or even cancer, and you've got a partner there providing emotional support at least. Assurance that, because when you're struck down with illness, that's when you feel the most alone. And like I was saying, you're saying the rest of your family, that you're concerned with you and all that, but they have their own lives to lead. They can only spend so much time with you. Not the person that being with you actually lives with you day in and day out. And so they're there, and I guess especially a lot of older couples, that they rely on their partners when they get elderly and get ill. It's a partner that gives them the care. Okay, you might be lucky enough to qualify for government care and people to come in every now and then, or often say clean the house or so forth. But that's about it. It's different. They're not going to be able to cook the food that you need to be cooked, especially for your special diet and so forth. And when what happens? It's only really the care of someone that loves you that is willing to do that. Okay, and I guess, look, on the flip side, if you've had a good marriage for a long time, the love and the credit, if you've built up credit with your partner, then your partner will, in a sense, when it comes to your ill, it's not difficult for your partner to say, I'll look after you then. You've been great to me throughout our marriage. You've given me so much. You're ill now. I'll look after you. But remember, human nature, we can only do that if we've received love. And it's love and support ourselves, then we can give back. I mean, it's a very tough ask to ask someone to keep giving if they've received nothing in return and give up so much of themselves, because taking care of an ill person is not easy, not pleasant, not easy. And I guess you can do that only when, I guess, you've had something back from them. You've had something before. So if you're thinking, if you've gotten older and think I'm getting ill, I'll quickly find someone to look after me, it doesn't work that way. I heard of a guy, of someone, he's in his 60s now, and he's seeing that he's looking at and seeing his sister taking care of her husband, which has brain cancer, so much work that is and so forth. And he thought that, eventually I'm going to need someone to look after me. So what he says he wants is a woman, first, that's financially independent, so doesn't have to rely on him for money. And secondly, that would look after him when he's ill. They'll be willing to be looking after him well. Sorry, but if you're not going to be supporting her in any other ways, you want her to be independent and so forth, why would she look after you all of a sudden, give that much to you if she's received nothing? Really? Or she's going to receive nothing. You have to build up the credit over a long term. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. Okay? I mean, for a lot of, I guess, very wealthy people with spouses, they would mind because there's going to be an inheritance. They're going to they receive something in their will, so they'll do that. But that's basically money. But in other instances, they're doing it out of love, and you can only do that out of love if you've received love, care, and support in return. So that's something that I guess a lot of single people don't think of. What happens when you're old and become ill? That's the time when you need a partner the most. And that's the time, where you really appreciate your partner, but besides needing your partner the most, that care, you have to be able to justify to your partner why they should be taking and expending that much of their time and energy to look after you, and also emotionally as well. They know that won't be able to go and earn money, or so to speak, or go out with their friends and so forth, because they have to take care of you. It is a very big ask, and you cannot just say anyone that is not doing it is selfish. You have to be, if if you've supported that person throughout their life, and when you're ill, they don't look after you, that is selfish. But it's human nature. It's got to be a balance. Okay? If you've supported them for so much, you've got a big credit with them. So when it comes time to you're ill, they'll support you. And that balances the scales, so to speak. And I guess karma. I guess even if you don't believe in karma, it's human nature. At the bottom of it, where someone's been so good to you, if they're in a need, then you feel fine to give back. Okay, but if they've given you nothing, okay, throughout your life, and then now they're demanding you to do all this, huge chunk of your life, I wouldn't say huge chunk, but at the time that you look after them, you can do nothing else. That is a big ask. So again, I work with human nature, and human nature works every time. Now, why marriages are great. Going back to that, the next point is financial advantages. Yes, the dreaded money again. And people don't want to listen to it because it says, for some reason, money seems to be such an offensive word. But we have to be realistic, because money is not, well, people say the root of all evil, but what it represents is resources. And resources gives you options and makes your life easier. When you're in the marriage, you're able to pull resources together. So it's just like renting somewhere, a one-bedder or a two-bedder. The cost of a two-bedder versus a one-bedder apartment is not much more, but your income, say, would be double. And so there are advantages, and so you don't have to duplicate things as well. You only need one lounge, so to speak, not two. And same with bed, this and that. Things don't need to be replicated or duplicated. And also, you do have shared expenses. And, if you are working together as a team, you can actually grow your money as well. Now, I've said this before. Okay, so if you think back to caveman times, what happened? Well, you have to go out and hunt for food, and then you have to bring it back, and then you have to spend time skinning it and doing the preserving. Because if you did not do that, you'll just be able to eat that day, and that's it. Then the meat goes off. And then you have to, but doing that takes time away from you hunting as well. So you bring in less game. However, what if you had someone to do that skinning and the preserving for you? Then that means you can spend all your time just doing hunting. So what it means, you'll be able to bring in more because you're able to spend all your time out there looking for game. Not only that, you're going to get better at it because that's all you do. And so you'll be able to bring far more in, and far more than double, I'll actually say. And so you have because you have someone just doing the skinning and the preserving. Okay, and so you're able to do that. So both people are doing their jobs. Both jobs are just as important as each other. I mean, you do not need a second hunter. Because what's going to happen, yes, you'll get more game, two people hunting, but you'll just be eating that day, and that's it. And then the next day, you have to hunt again. You can only eat. So it's like feast or famine. And if you're not able to catch any game, well, You both go without if it happens to be a bad day, bad hunting day. So you don't need a second hunter. What you need is someone to do the skinning and the preserving. So translate to modern day. You have one person going out and doing to work, bringing the money in, and you have a partner doing all the admin and taking care of everything. Now, it is a lot of work. Imagine you're single. There's a lot of people, when you're single, you have to go to work, and then you have to, make sure you paid your insurance, or lodge your tax returns and this and that, worry about your superannuation or the 401ks in the US, that sort of thing. It's a lot to administer. Or something happens, you need a plumber at the house, things like that. You have to take time off. And, when you're working, you don't have that time, and you work during the weekdays, and that's when things are open or business are open. You don't have time, or there's a dispute with a bank. You have to have time. Are you able to take time off work to go and resolve that? And would you have the time or not even the inclination, or basically the attention span to be able to try to find the best insurance policy for yourself? Make sure you're not getting ripped off, or your mortgage, find the best mortgage deals, or have time to go find if there's a better one so you can save yourself more money. When you're out there working, and especially in corporate or whether, you don't have the time or even the headspace to do all that. And so you're not going to be able to, you end up having to pay more than you have to for everything as well. So if you had someone that looks after all that, plan meals, look after all the admin, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a full time, and so forth. So, and I guess especially in Eastern cultures, more conservative cultures, I guess, but especially in Chinese and Far East cultures like Japanese and Korean, there's even a greater expectation of the women. It's usually the women that does the admin jobs, and the men that go out and being the main breadwinner, for purely the reason that, men generally earn more. So it makes sense for them to be the main breadwinner, and they have a far more stamina than women, and they can afford, so they're able to do the overtimes and the longer hours that women can. That is just a fact. We're different, and it's a good thing that we're different. And women are far better at doing the admin jobs, the admin roles. That's why so many of them are secretaries. Well, the majority of secretaries are women for that reason. Much better at multitasking, for instance. So perfect for doing the admin role. And I guess, like I mentioned, Far Eastern cultures, not only are women have to manage all the money financially, but also, if she's more capable, to be able to grow it and invest it and so forth. And so that's why, because that's their role. And I guess there's a lot of people that do complain about Chinese women that saying all they talk about is money. Oh, they're just so money focused. All they talk about is money. Well, now you know why, because it's their job. So they are trained to be able to do the administration for the money. So, and if something's your job, then you talk about it. And also for that reason, why the traditional marriage in an Asian culture is not seen as demeaning women as it is in the West. She does not lose power. In fact, she actually has a lot of power because she controls the purse strings. Because you hear a lot of feminists go on about, traditional marriage where women are so downtrodden, they lose so much power because they're not the ones earning money and stay at home and so forth and so forth. And I guess because the Western traditional marriage, the women are not in control of the money. And so, yes, if that's the case, then there's an imbalance in power, so to speak. You always have to achieve a balance. But both partners have to know, understand, and be willing to work as a partner, as a partnership, as a team. Because if you don't do it, then that's not a marriage. People disparage marriage all the time, saying they get nothing out of it, like I mentioned before. But those are because those marriages are not real actually marriages, because the partners are not working as a team. Okay? Like for instance, if you imagine if you broke your arm, then the other hand steps up. You use your left hand to cover for your right hand until it gets better. Just imagine if for a man, if he had a heart attack or something like that, or an injury, and he had a wife that was an active team member, she'll step up and look after him and that. Well, you've just now had an advantage over the single guy. Because if single guy gets ill, he's stuffed. He cannot work. He may have to rely on his savings if he has any. And who's going to look after him then? He might be able to get some government to send him some carers every now and then, or try to bring up friends. I don't know of many friends that'll be willing to do that. Maybe drop in some takeaway every now and then if you're lucky. Or pull in family if they're close to family. So Western society, not many of them are that close to their family. Or I guess to try to pull in parents, but it's a problem if your parents happen to be in another state or so forth. And then who looks after you? And so forth. So, but that was financial advantages and general advantages together. But the next one is social connections. I mean, couples also tend to build and maintain broader social networks. So they engage with, extended family and so forth, the community. There's more, people tend to invite couples more than they do singles, especially if it's a family event. Have you noticed that? Because I think I've noticed that. So it does, in a case, have a more fulfilling social life. I know people say, oh, I've got my friends that go out with friends, but more than likely, look, if it's ladies going out, then usually at a pub or somewhere and people, it may not be explicitly said, but they're there to find a partner and with the blokes going out for a drink and so forth. I don't know if they go out to pick up ladies or so forth, but that's not really social. And I guess it's only so many these dinners and parties that you go to or drinks with the boys until it starts wearing thin. And then you get sick of it. And then in the end, you just want to have someone that actually loves you and gives a damn a bit about you every day. And you achieve that with a true marriage. And what's something else? It's personal growth. Now, marriage can be a catalyst for personal growth because you develop other things. I mean, your partner may, like I said, have a different way of thinking as you are, be able to see a different point of view, another point of view, and you get the benefit of that and be able to point out things that you haven't thought of as well. Because it's impossible for you to think of everything and see every view. Otherwise, you wouldn't be human. We all have our own way of thinking and looking at things. And so if you have someone else point out a different way of looking at it, hey, that adds to your personal growth. Okay? And obviously, it's the love and the intimacy. At its most romantic, marriage is about love and intimacy. And at least it starts that way for most people. Then I guess it dies down when people's true colors or incompatibilities come out. It's a deep emotional and physical connection that between spouses that can be really fulfilling, provided it's a true marriage. You build it on trust, though. You have that bond building on trust with each other, that love, and trust and respect and mutual affection. And that offers the closeness and the intimacy that you will not get anywhere else. Not with your friends, certainly, or your siblings or your parents. I mean, your relationship with your parents, even though they might love you no matter what, and for the rest of your life, it's not the same type of love. It's a parental love. It's different from the intimate love and the intimacy and that you have with a partner that you've chosen, you hold hands with to go through life together. And that is so valuable and so irreplaceable. You cannot find that anywhere with anyone else. And I guess one thing that people don't think about is shared goals and dreams. Okay, this is one thing I will go on to what you need in a marriage to make it work, or particularly any relationship. And I'll go deeper into it, but it is shared goals and dreams. I mean, if you both have the same goals, you're both going to work together to fulfill that, wouldn't you? It'd be great. I mean, it so happens if you have different goals, then that's a problem. But if you have the same goals, what you want, I also want. So I'm going to help you achieve it because that's also what I want to do. So saying two hands and two sets of hands are always better than one. You get it not only double, but potentially exponential. More than double the result and how fast you can achieve. You can get to your goal. Just imagine telling your partner about your goal, and then they also share the same thing, also want the same thing as well. That's fantastic. Just think if people can say, oh, you can go anywhere, do anything when you're single. Yeah. But think about it. Think about if you went on a trip by yourself. Sure, you can go anywhere and do whatever you want. Today's itinerary, I'll just make it up as I go along or whatever. I want to go there. But what happens to you if you're on your own? Well, you can't share your experiences with anyone. Oh, I saw that magnificent thing that day. Who do you tell? Keep it inside you, or something happens to you on your trip. You're on your own. However, what if you had a partner that also wanted to go where you went, where you want to go? Great. So you get to do what you want, but have your partner there to support you and have your back. Or share the stuff along the way that you've come across. Wow, isn't that great, that scenery? You're talking with your partner. Just share your exuberance with it and your appreciation with your partner. Or if something happened to you, you've got your partner there to hold your back. Like what if you happen to end up having food poisoning on your trip? Because when you eat out when you're on holidays, you don't cook. Happen to have a bad oyster or something. You're sick. I guess you can say, oh, I'll go to the hospital. But then you get all these other problems where, what's the state of the hospitals there, depending on the country that you're in? Can you afford it? And is there anywhere with you in a foreign country and foreign medical system and so forth? You're not sure what they'll do to you, particularly if you don't speak the same language. You have the partner there looking over everything while you're so out of it and you're basically helpless. Or you're throwing up up in the hotel room. You have someone taking care of you. It's these sort of things. So the trip is like the analogy in life. What if something happens to you? Have you got someone that has your back? And I guess a lot of people in unhappy relationships or divorce have said, my spouse never had my back. And so that's why they disparage marriage as being bad. Whereas no, you actually did not have a marriage. It was not a true marriage. That's why. Because your partner did not act as a partner. It was not a team player. And that's why. So there are many advantages of marriage, and marriage is absolutely fantastic, provided, of course, that is actually a true marriage, that both partners are acting as a team the way it should be, because a marriage is a partnership in life. You go through it and go through it together, through all the trials and tribulations. All right? What do you think about that? Let me know by leaving a comment on my Facebook page. You can search for it as Miss Dragonfly. And and we can have a discussion, have people having discussion and share their experiences about what's happened to them and whether or not they agree with what I said. And if they don't happen to agree, then it seems that I'll need to clarify certain things, because this is very different. It's a whole shift in thinking about marriage and partnership and love altogether than what's continually spewed out there. Because what's continually out there, all around us and all the advice, obviously does not work. Because people keep making the same mistakes and not getting it.